27 years after hero Himmel's death, Frieren and Fern find themselves in the bustling trade city of Worm in the Central Lands. Instructed to split up and replenish their travel supplies, Fern feels the weight of responsibility. Curious about Frieren's shopping plans, Frieren hesitantly mentions buying herbs, with a suspicious expression, recalling past peculiar purchases like a monster's skull and a cloth-dissolving potion. Fern follows Frieren discreetly, mindful of expenses, and observes her at an accessory shop. Despite Frieren's usual neglect of hair care, Fern speculates an interest in fashion. Noting Frieren's perplexed face, as she pets a cat, Frieren finally buys an accessory. Later, overhearing Frieren asking about desserts, Fern feels it's unfair since she's been deprived of sweets for months. Directed to a dubious tavern, Frieren's inquiry draws responses from intimidating adventurers. Heading back to the inn without buying sweets, Fern realizes she hasn't shopped yet. At the inn, Frieren notes Fern's tardiness. Fern apologizes, setting down her purchases. Awkwardly suggesting they get something sweet, Frieren exits the room. Arriving at the recommended place, Frieren admires the sunset view, appreciating the adventurer's suggestion. Fern apologizes for doubting her, though Frieren is clueless. Frieren encourages Fern to choose whatever she likes and reveals secret savings for expenses. Frieren wonders what she'll have, and Fern surprises her by correctly guessing mercure pudding. In a flashback, the hero party dines together. Himmel accurately guesses Frieren wants mercure pudding. Curious, Frieren questions him, and Himmel attributes it to years of traveling together. Frieren admits knowing little about the party, prompting Himmel to share more. Himmel reveals his favorite meal is a roof omelette. Eisen prefers sour grapes, and before Heider can share, Frieren interjects, knowing he likes alcohol. Himmel notes it's concerning Frieren only remembers that detail. Back in the present, Frieren apologizes to Fern for not knowing her preferences and presents a beautifully crafted hair ornament, revealing it's Fern's birthday. Grateful, Fern thanks Frieren, appreciating the thoughtful gift. Despite Frieren's cluelessness, Fern finds joy in her effort to understand, even if Frieren doesn't fully grasp human emotions. The following morning, Fern proudly wears her new hair ornament as they resume their journey. Fern questions their journey's purpose, and Frieren admits it's to collect spells and retrace her adventure with Himmel and the hero party. Fern acknowledges its importance, but Frieren admits she's unsure and intends to discover more. Observing Fern has grown taller, Frieren notes, it's strange she's developed more despite sharing the same diet. Training in Grossa Forest, Frieren casts a spell at Fern, who blocks it with defensive magic. Frieren challenges Fern with a bending spell, emphasizing defensive gaps. Intensifying the training, Frieren launches multiple spells, prompting Fern to respond with an omnidirectional defensive spell. Exhausted, Fern concludes the training. Frieren explains the defensive spell's mana consumption, and Fern deduces smaller spells at impact points are more efficient. Frieren confirms and tugs Fern's arm, urging her to read the magical history book, stressing theory's importance. Frieren supposes she may have to read it to Fern at bedtime, to which Fern responds she'll read it herself. Reaching a village, Fern inquires about collecting unusual spells. Frieren reveals a different purpose, approaching villagers with a question. A villager recognizes her features, leading them to Qual's seal location. Curious about Qual, Fern learns he's the elder sage of corruption, sealed by Himmel's party for atrocities 80 years ago. Frieren notes the seal's breakage and Himmel's annual visits until 30 years ago to check on it. Frieren apologizes, and the villager reveals Himmel knew she'd return when the seal was about to break. At the sealing site, Frieren observes the unstable seal and declares she'll dispel it and kill Qual. That night, Fern questions why Qual was sealed. Frieren reminisces about nearly being defeated by Qual, a mage who created Zoltrak, a spell penetrating defenses and armor. Zoltrak's deadly capability claimed many adventurers and mages. The next day, Frieren undoes Qual's seal. Qual awakens and learns it's been 80 years. Inquiring about the Demon King, Frieren discloses his death. Qual vows revenge, casting Zoltrak, which Fern successfully blocks. Frieren reveals Zoltrak, studied and integrated into human magic, is now an ordinary spell due to advancements. Frieren offers a peaceful death if Qual cooperates, but he retaliates with a barrage of Zoltrak spells. Fern handles defense as Frieren casts her own spell. Qual's spells breach Fern's defenses, switching to a frontal attack, but Fern responds successfully. Qual notices Frieren above, attempting to attack, but Frieren counters with Zoltrak, destroying his torso. Lamenting his own spell's use against him, Qual fades. Frieren lands before exhausted Fern. In the village, Fern reads the magical history book, waiting for Frieren, being thanked by villagers. A villager, the same brat who once flipped her skirt, thanks her, crediting Himmel's words for extending his life. Frieren and Fern depart on a carriage, discussing villagers' gratitude. Frieren clarifies it's for Himmel's belief in her. Fern acknowledges Himmel's belief in Frieren, and Frieren pats Fern's head, dismissing it as nothing. Together they gaze at the sky as the carriage moves away. Frieren and Fern arrive at the Grand's Channel in the Central Lands, guided by an elderly villager to a hazardous, neglected beach. The villager offers Frieren a grimoire, claiming it was authored by the great mage Flam. Frieren recognizes it as a fake, but still accepts the cleanup request. Fern questions the grimoire's authenticity, and Frieren confirms that all books attributed to Flam are false. Frieren explains her motivation to help people in need despite the fake grimoire. Fern realizes they will stay in the village for a while. 3 months pass, and winter sets in. Fern adjusts to village life, buying bread and finding Frieren asleep amidst disordered piles of books. Fern plays a maternal role, tidying up and helping Frieren get dressed. During their shore cleanup, Fern expresses frustration at Frieren's untidiness. Frieren admits to oversleeping often during her travels with the hero party. They complete their daily cleanup and inform the villager they will finish by the New Year's festival. As the festival approaches, Fern inquires about its significance. Frieren explains the village tradition of watching the sunrise. Despite Frieren's usual disinterest in waking up early, she agrees to participate in the festival. A montage shows Frieren and Fern's cleanup process, culminating in the successful completion of the beach cleanup. The villager invites Frieren to the festival, and Frieren suggests staying up all night to see the sunrise. Late at night, Frieren reminisces about a past New Year's festival with the Heroes Party, where Himmel expressed a desire for her to enjoy the experience with them. Frieren dozes off, and Fern wakes up in a panic, trying to avoid being late for the festival. In her sleep, Frieren calls Fern her mother, and they prepare to go out. Frieren thanks Fern for her help, causing her to smile. At the festival, Frieren and Fern observe the sunrise. Frieren reflects that the sunrise was not worth waking up for, but she enjoys the moment because Fern is smiling. Frieren admits that she could not have observed the sunrise alone. In a flashback, the hero's party stands before graves. Heighten and Eisen discuss the afterlife, with Frieren expressing uncertainty about its existence. Himmel suggests that belief in heaven is comforting regardless of its truth. The party prays together, reflecting on their perspectives on life and death. 28 years after Hero Himmel's death, Frieren and Fern meet Eisen in the Brett region. Frieren greets Eisen, who is praying. Eisen mentions he is not close to his deathbed, revealing that he often exchanged letters with Heighten. Eisen guides Frieren and Fern to the Vol Basin, searching for notes by the great mage Flam. Frieren accepts the request, noting that many writings attributed to Flamma are fakes. Eisen, however, has a lead from Heider's research indicating the authenticity of notes hidden in the Vol Basin. During their search, Eisen shares that he seeks Flam's notes to help Frieren communicate with Himmel. Frieren expresses reluctance, asserting she does not want to meet Himmel yet. Eisen believes Frieren harbors regrets and wishes to assist her. The trio finds ruins protected by a barrier. Frieren recalls Flamma's prediction about her return to this location. Frieren activates the ruins, revealing a book. Frieren confirms its authenticity. Fern and Eisen discuss Frieren's connection to Flamme. Eisen asks if the book contains information on communicating with the dead. Frieren reads Flamma's account of visiting Oriol, the land where souls rest. Fern questions its truth, and Frieren expresses uncertainty due to Flamme's unpredictable nature. Eisen asserts the convenience of believing in heaven. Frieren accepts Eisen's request to visit Oriol in Enda, despite her reluctance because the Demon King's castle resides there. In a carriage, Frieren sleeps on Fern's lap. Eisen asks if Frieren is a good master. Fern, uncertain, shares that Frieren's actions sometimes contradict her apparent disinterest. Fern finds it peculiar that Frieren started giving her birthday presents. Eisen recalls a memory in the royal capital, where Frieren dismissed the idea of taking an apprentice. Eisen believes Frieren has changed, becoming more mindful of others. At Eisen's home, Frieren confirms their route to Enda. Eisen apologizes to Fern for the long journey ahead, recalling it took the hero party 10 years. Frieren reassures Fern, calling it a mere 10 years of adventure. Frieren remembers the party arriving at the Demon King's castle.